Recently, I had Codie Sanchez come to my office and tell me how to purchase boring businesses. If you have no idea what a boring business is, it is one of those businesses that have been around for a long time that seems pretty boring but makes a lot of money. An example of this might be a laundromat, it might be a cleaner, you get the idea. Nobody thinks these businesses are sexy, but they're always going to be in demand and they're always going to make money. So in this podcast clip, we talk about the pros and cons of buying boring businesses, where to find them, and how much you can get them for, which, like real estate, can be for very little money if you structure the deal right. So I think you're going to enjoy this clip.
So let's talk about these boring businesses, since you're talking about TikTok, and that's kind of, I would say, what you're known for. So you mentioned earlier, a boring business would be like a laundromat, an HVAC company, things that people aren't really looking at. Me personally, I've seen it, and I've seen you talk about it. I had Investment Joy on here talking about his vending machines and laundromats, and I look at it and I'm just like, not for me. But what am I missing?
Well, I don't think you're missing anything. I think if Investment Joy was telling you that you should own vending machines and laundromats, he's off his rocker with his 3 million people online. Those are great stair steps. That is the first step in what I call the gateway drug to business ownership.
Okay.
And so, you want to own a vending machine when you're a 15-year-old or, out of college or starting your first business, and you need to understand your P&L, and you can't put a lot of money down on the line, and you need a low-risk business. Vending machines, cool. Then you might want to own a laundromat, because that's sort of the next step up to owning a business that's maybe pretty straightforward, doesn't have to be super expensive. If you don't understand a coin, going into a washing machine and cleaning it, you probably shouldn't own any business.
What are these laundromats making?
Well, it depends. Like I have one laundromat. It's a group of 3 of them that does $3 million a year revenue.
Okay.
Anywhere from, let's call it 30 to 60% profit margins, depending
Crazy.
on. Yeah. And so they do well. And then they're adding different services to them. So the way that I think is interesting to do boring businesses is we talk about, it's called the BRRT method. So boring businesses that are recession resistant, where you can raise prices and add technology. And so this methodology basically means if you own a laundromat, you buy a laundromat, it's boring. It does $100,000 a year, let's say. It's recession resistant because nobody wants you to be smelly running out of clothes.
Right.
Then you raise prices because typically it's pretty price inelastic, meaning you can go from 25 cents to 50 cents a wash and people will still wash there.
Right.
Then you add technology, which might mean you add wash and fold, or you partner with a dry cleaning service, or you add the vending machine to it, or you add the credit card processing instead of coins or money, soft money. And so that's the methodology. So we have ones that do 3 million, and then my first laundromat, I think it made $60K-ish in in profit, but I had an operator, so I took home like $30,000 or something like that from it. So huge variance. And laundromats are never going to be a $50 million business unless you have a giant enterprise of multiple laundromats.
Right.
Then that's why I think they're a gateway drug. They're not the end.
Yeah, you're not looking to scale how many laundromats you own.
No, not me personally. I mean, there's a use case that you could say for car washes. Like there's a car wash company called Mr. Car Wash that's worth billions of dollars that went public, and they did that through taking a bunch of car washes, wrapping systems and processes around them, and charging a reoccurring revenue model.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. So right before you came in, I just filmed a YouTube video with my friend Houston. He owns these franchises called Houston's Hot Chicken. And recently just started a couple of years ago. They now have over 100 franchises. And, he's telling me about the franchise game. And I'm like, holy crap, like these guys make that much money? And like the ROI is insane, because he was telling me like, yeah, you need about 450 grand to start it up. And, you can get an SBA loan on it. So it's like, all right, I'm into this thing for, call it 100 G's. Yep. And he's like, yeah, our stores, like a McDonald's might make $1.5 million a year, but ours are making $3 million a year. And I was like, so what do you net? He's like, dude, they make 60, 80K a month. I was like, what? How many can I buy? Like, where do I get them? Because I love chicken, number one, but I love money. And so seeing how much these things make, I just couldn't believe it. And then he goes, yeah, dude, it's crazy. He's like, car washes are crazy too. And he starts telling me, he's like, yeah, car wash business, like that's why you see them popping up everywhere in Vegas. There's tons of dust. Cars are always getting dirty. They just do the monthly recurring model, and you need one person to operate it.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I own 6. The car wash model is really interesting too because you can scale up or scale down. So if you want to start out, you can have an automatic, 3-bay car wash where everything is automated. You have little coin inserts that you have, little smelling, I forget what those are called, things that you hang in your car. You can have wipes that come out of it. The margin on those is like 60 to 80% on any of those additives. And the interesting thing about car washes is you can scale from that automatic car wash all the way up to, a car wash where you have 10 to 15 people employed. And those things can make, I was looking at one in California that made $7 million a year. But it had a lot of employees.
It's a more high-end car wash. They got detailing and all that stuff.
Exactly, yeah. And they have people on site that are actually doing it. It's the done for you versus the do-it-yourself model.
Right,
Do-it-yourself is always the cheapest, but usually has the highest margin. The done for you is the most expensive, usually has a decreased margin.
Right, but more revenue.
Way more revenue, yeah.
Right.
And typically, you can build more of a moat around it,
Yeah.
Like if you have really good services and
you get a brand reputation.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, but I want to experiment with it. I mean, we were joking around with our YouTube channel that I think we might brand some of my car washes something regarding the channel and have like pop-ups and think like how much money could we make a car wash have? Like I think that'd be really funny.
Like just go every avenue possible.
Like can I make one car wash do $10 million a year? Like I have no idea, but I think it'd be fun to try.
You better sell drugs out of there or something.
Yeah, really clean cars. I don't know. To your point though, I love going head to head with some of my real estate friends because I'm like, how much money do you have to put down to get $100,000 in, cash flow in your pocket a year? And for real estate, you got to have a big down payment and a hefty loan to get $100K. I mean, I read the average single family home rental makes about $600 a month, $400 to $600 a month. The average small business, while it can have a much higher failure rate and there's a lot more work, is going to 10x that if you buy it. And so I think for you, the interesting play would be what you're already doing, which is buy or build businesses that surround real estate, that you'd get to use your same team and some back-end operations or your client base in order to grow your total cash flow while you let the real estate asset appreciate.
Yeah, it's interesting because you clearly defined exactly what I'm doing. So for those who didn't know, that's the truth. So it's interesting because I realized this as my real estate career went on, right? Because when I first got into real estate, everyone and their mom was telling me, you want to own rental properties, you want to own rental properties. And I was like, I don't want to make $200 a month. Like, what am I going to do with this? It's not going to change my life.
Exactly.
And so I was like, I have to flip. And so making $20K a month was definitely life-changing. And I'm like, this is great. Imagine if I did 5 of these, I can make $100K a month. And sure enough, that was what we did. And I did it, and I'm like, this is great, making $1 million. I'm the man. This is great. And sure enough, I start to get exposed to these other ways of making money, right? And I was like, this is way easier making money with things that are not necessarily real estate. Like it's easier to make money as an influencer, selling courses, selling e-com. I won't say tax is easier. Tax is a big freaking headache. So I won't include that in there. But, car washes, franchises, those things, like they're way easier. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've been like, man, which one is truly better? Because real estate on one hand, to your point, is safer. Like it's always going to be, in the long run, going to be there. It's going to be worth whatever it's worth.
And hard to go to zero.
Yeah, it's just not going to go to zero. And you're also going to get appreciation. You're going to get the tax benefits. You're going to get all of that. But then with the businesses, you're going to actually make money because you don't make money holding real estate, like at least active income. You're going to make money in your net worth, but no rental's ever just going to like spit off so much. Even in Airbnb, it's not going to make you rich. Thanks for watching that clip from the Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to see the full interview, you can actually find it in the link below. Make sure you're also subscribed on both YouTube and Apple Podcast.